My name is Robin Van Arsdal. We're here in Orlando, Florida. We're at the gallery Realm 54. In this room, and I'll talk about this room, is my street art collection. More than 50 pieces by artists that were all active on the streets of New York City during the notorious 1980s. If I kind of give you a little bit of my background, then it kind of can also assist with why I have such a large collection of street art. I grew up in Kentucky. I did my undergraduate at Georgetown College in Kentucky, and then moved to New York City in 1972-73 and did my graduate work at NYU. In 1976 and 77, I was the head of the sculpture department at New York University, and one of my fortes was contemporary art since 1945. So I have an extensive slide collection and lecture on art since 1945, since the abstract expressionists. Along with teaching at NYU, I also worked for the Foundation D'Ars magazine out of Milan, Italy, and worked for the French critic Pierre Restany, traveling with Pierre to the Venice Biennale. Also have done documentaries on the Venice Biennale and also on the retrospective of Yves Klein at the Georges Pompidou Center in Paris. And so even though I'm an artist, done over 5,000 murals on the streets of New York City during the 1980s, one of the most prolific of all the street artists. I was against proliferation, and it's so with an educational background as an artist, I've also become a collector, and a lot of times I'm in the right place at the right time, and I'm able to see and find, and so I've been collecting stuff since the early 70s. This room, specifically what we have here this evening, is work that I collected. There's probably, of the 50 pieces, there's probably 5 or 6 pieces that are mine. So let's just take a look, okay? I'll start right here at the doorway. I've got 2 small little Keith Haring's, the Screaming Man and the Barking Dog. Also a John Ahern, who was well known for doing all of the body casts up in the South Bronx, putting pieces on the South Bronx. This little collection right here was Kevin Wendell. We called him the White Basquiat. I found this piece under the expressway in Brooklyn. This was a piece that I found in Rome that was literally, it was a poster on a graffiti exhibition that was in Rome at the same time that in 1984 when I was in Rome. This is Alan Darty. He was known as Red Spot. He put red spots all over the city. He did posters, but he also would do these plaster casts, and everything that he did was only a red spot. This piece here was by Jacek Kalitsky. He was the gallery owner of the Now Gallery. He did these, he would go out into the city and throw these containers of paint onto the wall and then write art wars. This is one of my pieces from '87 that I put up on the street. Another stencil by Paolo Buggiani. This is a piece by Barbara Kruger. Barbara Kruger was pretty political. She still is. This piece was 1984. Over on Wooster Street. This piece here, as well as this piece right here, are by a couple called Liz and Val. Liz and Val were known for doing these huge, gigantic stick men on the streets in New York City. Both of these pieces are mine. They're a gunboat. Both of these were on the streets. Right up there at the top, you can see where there was a nail hole when it was stacked onto one of the telephone poles. Piece by Ken Hiratsuka. Ken was known for going to the corners of the street, and then where you'd have your concrete, he would take a chisel and he would chisel all of his designs onto the street. This is one of the paintings that I did. A lot of times what I'd do is I'd go onto the street and I'd paint all night. I used a roller, and so I could do 30, 40, 50 murals in an evening. And then when I would come home, if, for example, this is on plywood or on masonite, and I'd pick up material while I was out working because I was checking out all the garbage containers too. And as soon as I got home, then I'd mimic the paintings that I was doing on the street. Another Ken Hiratsuka, a couple more Liz and Val. See this one down here? This is a photograph of one of the walls of Liz and Val. That's about a 12-foot painting. Now, what that does is, one of the things that I like to show variety. And in this little collection, you've got so many different aspects. You've got somebody like John Ahern who takes a body cast, makes a plaster mold of it, and then hangs it on the walls. You've got people like Lyman who will make in their studio, they will do paperwork and then dry post it up onto the walls. You've got Paolo Buggiani who uses stencils, who'll come in, lay a stencil down and spray the stencil. Liz and Val are known for using big rollers. And like I said, you've got Linus Caraggio, you've making metal, you've also got Domboski making metal. And so that the variety of invention that was on the streets of New York City was extensive. It wasn't like you just had a bunch of people with spray cans. These are artists that all came from the studios, and they were all putting stuff onto the streets. I did over 5,000 murals on the streets of New York City. What it was with me is I got really angry about proliferation. I'm against anything that's nuclear, and at that point in time, it was as though it was my response to what I thought was being done wrong with my country. So, and a lot of the art was political. Thanks, love art.